In this video, my aim is to teach you how you can take free sound fonts and create beautiful tracks or pieces that resemble a quality similar to a real orchestra. So here's the example that I have that I've written a couple of days ago. So, the song is Legend of Ashitaka from the Princess Mononoke soundtrack. It's one of my favorite songs from the soundtrack, so I thought it would be a good idea to try to use from what I have, which are the free sound fonts, to try to get as close as I could to that soundtrack in a reasonable amount of time. So, yeah, this took me 2 hours and 40 minutes. And you can see all the different instruments that I had here. Strings, some of them aren't labeled, but I'll get back to that in a minute. Over here you can see a second part of the song that is not in the original song at all, but I decided to improvise and write a part myself with the instruments that I had that I thought would fit with the rest of the song. So we can hear that now. So you can see. Alright. Now I'm going to go into, in order to make a song sound good and for it to be in an orchestral style, the instruments should sound decent. Now even though these are free instruments, they still sound pretty good. So the first step that the first tip I would give to you if you're going to write something like this with free sound fonts is to gather a couple sound fonts, go through them, find a pair of strings that you like. So for example, I really liked the sound of these strings when I found them. They were free, and they were in this orchestra sound font 2 combo that I found online for free. I just downloaded it and stuck it right in. And then this is the same string. This is not from the sound font that I just mentioned. It's from the Twilight Princess game, and they don't have a sound font for it. But the instruments that you're hearing from Twilight Princess you can find in other sound fonts, because that's where the composer Koji Kondo got his instruments, which was from other sound fonts. So they're pretty common. And it actually sounds very similar to the sound font up here, strings. So I use that. They have a pizzicato that I liked. More strings. French horns, forte. You can barely hear it because I don't have the volume on them very loud. You don't really hear them in the track that much. There's a timpani. There's a trombone. There's a taiko drum. There's a bowed glass, which isn't in the original song, but I felt it added a nice touch. There's a choir, which isn't in the original. More percussive bells. A piano. And a marimba. So, if we look into this view here with all the mixing channels, you can kind of see what's going on. Over here's the main melody. Right here is the next most important thing, which would be the bass line. So, bass line. If I can find it. Here it is. Okay. Bass line looks like this. It's really just a chord, but I'm holding the lowest note, the root note of the chord, the longest, so that there's no like awkward silence, I guess. It just fills it out more if I have the root note going throughout the entire chord. And then these are more broken chord patterns. So you have, you can hear that. Boom, 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 boom. And then it just kind of repeats that. There's some variation so it doesn't sound repetitive. And you'll notice the main string line is doubled an octave. So you got this. Because without that doubling, it sounds a little less exciting than if you double them. Sounds less full, unless you have that. Another main key opponent to writing orchestral music is you have to keep in mind that the music that's being recorded in an orchestra is in a space. It's not completely dry, so you need reverb. So if I take all the reverb away, you can hear what it sounds like. And it doesn't sound bad. It just doesn't sound as natural or as live as a real orchestra would sound. So therefore, there is reverb that I added. Instead of just the dry, no reverb sound like you would find in maybe a rock band or some other smaller ensemble. Now, we covered the instruments that I had, that I used. They're mainly from one sound font, which I will link in the description. They're free. They don't take up a ton of space, if I recall. I have them organized like this, so I go to Sound Fonts and then Orchestra 2 Combo. I just look for that, and there it is. Bring it in. It starts out with the piano. And now here are all the choices I have. Not all of them sound fantastic. Like I said, I had to go through and filter which ones I felt sounded good. Good enough for the song, at least. So there's still some picking to be done. You can't just do this with any sound font. But if you're wise about what ones you pick, if they sound good to you, you have a select few. You could even go as far as to make a folder with all of the instruments that you really like from each sound font that you can just go in and open up and be like, okay, I want some trombones. Here's my favorite trombone that I like, or here's my favorite string patch that I like, or here's my percussions that I like. And once you have that, you then start writing for it. And then it's just a matter of studying orchestration techniques, which I will make another video on, such as doubling up your strings on the melodies, making sure that it's a nice full sound. And you barely even hear any of these other instruments when the song is playing, but they do make a huge difference in the impact of the song. For example, I'll go through each mixer channel right now for you. There's a pizzicato I was talking about. What it's doing is it's just playing broken chords of the chords that are already there. Then we have the cello on the bass. It's playing broken chords, but also the root of each chord is being held out. And then we have the trumpets, which aren't very loud at all. They're just there to add some more high clarity in the treble for the strings. Next we have timpani. It's just a loud hit here and then a loud hit here. I do it every 2 bars just to give a bigger, more triumphant start to the melody. I believe this is tuba or trombone. Yeah, those are trombones. Okay, so that was a really nice trombone patch that I found in the sound font. And it's just playing the chords. It's not any broken chords for the trombone. They're just really long sustained chords. And right now they're the only thing that's doing that right now to add some variance. That's a taiko drum. It's like a timpani, but it's like an Asian timpani basically. They don't really change in pitch. They're just a drum that you hit once and it's one and done. Adds a really nice start to the melody in the song though. So this is playing like half of the melody and half of the chords, and you want to do everything you can just to add some nice texture without pulling away from the main melody, because you'll notice the main melody is the loudest thing out of all of these to help it shine through so it doesn't get muddy. And if I take that away, you can hear everything else going on. I think there should be maybe a philosophy about if you take away the main element of your song, it should still sound good. And I think that's definitely true for orchestral music sometimes. So anyway, keeping on. We have the bells that we discussed. So that has the choirs, which are just playing the same chords. They're going higher though, so they're what they're doing with chords is they are trying to think of the word. It's where you take the note of the chord and you just make it go up an octave or down an octave. I forget what it's called, but basically they're playing the same chords, but they're just going up and up from the first bar to the fourth bar. The chords are being inverted upwards. That's the word I was looking for, inversion. They're doing chord inversions up and up and up each time they play a new chord. And that's everything. So, it's just really repeating the 2 or 3 elements that you have in clever ways, maybe adding embellishments. For example, the main melody, which we know is there, but also I have this here, which you can barely hear, but it does add a difference. I will solo this in the main string so you can hear it. It's very subtle, but it definitely adds to the song, and it makes everything sound more full, more interesting, gives the listener more to listen to. And that's basically it. I have a limiter, which if I take that off, it just gets a little quieter, that's all. A limiter just raises the volume, or at least that's how I'm using it. And you can see I allow it to clip a little bit, and the only reason I allow that is because it sounds like it's not clipping to me. When I listen to the song, I don't hear any distortion, so as long as it sounds good, it is good, which is pretty common philosophy in music, I believe. So, yeah, that's it. If you guys have any questions, feel free to ask in the comments section. I will be posting links to the sound font that I'm using here in the comments section. I hope this helps you. I hope I went in depth enough. And I will see you guys in the next tutorial video. Thank you.